for tuning in to another episode of What You Talking About? I'm your host, Supercurt. This is my main man and co-host, JMac right
What's
here.
What's good, YouTube?
And I got J Kidd in the studio.
What's up, yeah.
And we got the great Ricky G on the line.
What up, Austin, Texas?
Alright, we got an action-packed show, so we're going to get things kicked off.
A couple days ago, Arian Foster tweeted announcing that he was going to go vegan starting a couple days ago. Is this a good idea or a bad idea? I'll go and let Ricky G start off with that. What do you think about that, Rick?
I really don't have a problem with it in the long run. I think it actually probably benefited him. The only thing I can go back and probably tell you is that if you look at like gorillas or something like that, and know that it's not a racial slur just for the record, but if you look at those in the wild, they're vegetarians, and they have the strength of 10 real men. So, I mean, it's really, I don't think it's going to be detrimental to him in the long run, but I do think that right off the bat, it might have some effects on him that might, in turn, let his game suffer a little bit. But overall, don't have a problem with it. More power to him, because that takes a lot of willpower. I'm a carnivore, so.
Right, that's true. I definitely don't argue with what you're saying. I can't make the decision for him. I don't agree with it, however, and the main reason, when you go vegan, you got to let your body adjust. It's like anything. When you drink soda every day and you stop drinking soda, you're going to start having caffeine withdrawals. When you smoke cigarettes, you stop smoking cigarettes. You're going to have nicotine withdrawals. When you eat meat your whole life and stop eating meat all of a sudden, your body's going to miss the protein that your body's missing. All the supplements in the world can't substitute what meat protein will do for you. If he was going to do this, he should have done this at the very end of last season, so he gave his time body to adjust. On top of it, when you do this, you also lose muscle mass. He's an NFL pro running back, probably arguably one of the best running backs in the league. Save that topic for another day, but he's arguably one of the best. And when you don't have the muscle mass anymore, you're going to get hit harder. You're not going to be able to take those hits harder. Balls are going to be coming out of your hands a lot easier. Fumbles are going to start happening. I don't agree with it at all, but it's his own personal life. Overall, vegan going is a healthy way of living, but not when you're a pro athlete.
I got to go with, I don't have like a preference either way, honestly. Like, I think, it could benefit, it could, maybe not benefit him. I think, looking at this, there's a guy named Alexander Dragic. He's a bodybuilder,
okay,
and he's a vegan. So, he has been quoted to saying, like, one popular wrong notion is that vegans are frail and skinny. He said his power has increased since becoming a vegan, especially his endurance, which is like a big part of football.
Football for sure.
He says it's true. I lost some pounds, but to most people that would be no harm. But so he will probably lose some muscle mass,
right,
which will probably hurt him in breaking some tackles. You know what I mean? Because muscle mass is going to help you in breaking those tackles. Just having more space to put your arms around to wrap up is going to be something. But getting more speed might benefit him also. So
more endurance.
I'm kind of tossed on this one.
I didn't know about that guy being a weightlifter, a bodybuilder. And
there's a couple others. Albert Beckles, and then NBA players Bill Walton, Billie Jean King, the tennis player. Ricky Williams. The only football players I could find were Ricky Williams and Tony Gonzalez, and that was with a lot of research. And Tony Gonzalez barely touched it a little bit.
Okay.
He just did it like somewhat like half vegan with like light meats as far as like turkey and stuff like that. And then Ricky Williams, he did it in 2009, and he didn't. His career hadn't really taken off, so.
True.
I think he was better when he was eating meat.
Right.
So I mean, that's how that's going.
What do you think about that?
And Ricky Williams' defense, when he did come back after he had that little hiatus for a little bit, and he was still a vegan at that time, he came back. He had a pretty solid year, for the Saints. He came back in and for the Dolphins when he came back again. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it was solid. It wasn't great, but it was solid.
True.
Right.
Yeah. I feel. Like you guys all had very solid points, both ways. All around he'll be a lot healthier.
Yeah.
For his body wise, staying fit for the whole season. You will lose a little body mass. Could gain a little more endurance. All around, it takes a great willpower to take on challenges. Becoming a vegan after your whole life eating meat.
Right.
Well,
that's what my big thing is.
Eating all that flesh.
Yeah, it's your body withdrawal from the meat. I know I couldn't. But it's like I said, it's just the withdrawal that you're going to be missing. Your body's not going to be able to. It's going to respond differently to a lot of different things for at least the first year, probably going straight.
True. I mean, I know I took off like eating candy, man. I took off eating candy for like
you missed the
a
sugar.
month, and then when I got like that first taste of candy, oh my god, I was back like addicted to it, like it was hooked.
Yep.
You know, so yeah,
that's exactly what it'll do to you. But but the other day, we're all big fans of First Take, ESPN First Take, and they got into a debate the other day with Tony Romo. Excuse me, I'll go back and say Amani Toomer, former New York Giant, said that Tony Romo was better than Eli Manning based off the numbers. And then it got into a debate. Eli Manning was better because he has more rings. So, but the question is, do rings make you a better player than the next man that doesn't have a ring or has less rings than what you have? What do you think about that, Kurt?
I think it really depends on position. Now, quarterbacks are kind of judged by rings.
True.
Running backs, you know, some of them go to a bad team. They're not able to get a ring.
Right.
So to say, Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith was blessed to be with like one of the greatest lines, greatest receivers, quarterback. You know what I mean? So he was able to get his share of rings. So I think like just depending on what position, like Emmitt Smith is looked at as the best running back, and arguably in some people's eyes, and it's because he has those rings. And he has like his yards to prove that. Barry Sanders doesn't have any rings. Has a lot of yards. When they say he could be the best, but he doesn't.
Career's got short. He cut his career a little short.
Cut his career short. Yeah, that's true. That's true. But with quarterbacks, you know, quarterbacks all have to have a ring to be pretty much like that guy. That guy you're looking at, like they're all based off his numbers and his rings. You know,
True. What do you think about that, Rick? What's your opinion?
I like what Curtis actually said about quarterbacks being judged basically solely off of rings, you know? Because if you ever hear somebody talking about a team and, you know, what the anchor of that team is and who drives that team, who leads that team, they always go back to the quarterback position. They say, and when somebody refers, hey, you're quarterback in this, or hey, you're doing, you know, they always say the quarterback. Why? Because that is the part of the team that if you take away, there ain't going to be no team no more, regardless if you have the best defense in the league or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, yes, in my opinion, rings have everything to do with the person's career because that's what they're going for. That's the championship thing that, yeah, they're going to give the credit to their team, but in their heart, they're like, hey, I'm going to lead my team. I'm going to lead my team to this Super Bowl because I'm the quarterback of this team. You know, they look up to me. They follow me. I'm the first one in, the last one out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things that you can say it's a team game, and it is a team game. But when you talk about quarterbacks, I really like what Curtis said. Quarterbacks are judged off of Super Bowl rings. And while their body of work may be good, in the end, you don't got a ring, people ain't going to give you the credit. And that's just how it is. So it is what it is, man. You know, and I do believe that is something you need in your arsenal in order to be considered a great quarterback. And now, I know Dan Marino doesn't have a ring, and he's one of the greatest. I know that.
Yeah, glad you said that because that was going to be my argument.
Arguably, I know, like I said, arguably, but I still hold him a little bit lower than a lot of quarterbacks on my list from all-time greats, which is another conversation, just because he doesn't have a ring. You know, why didn't you lead your team to that? Why couldn't you do it? You know what I'm saying? You had one of the best teams in the league, and then all of a sudden you just couldn't get that ring. Or the year that you didn't have a good team, you were doing it, you just couldn't win. You know, so I mean, there's a lot of factors, yes, I know, but I still think a ring is something that you really need to have.
I personally think rings are important. Obviously, that's like Rick said. That's what you play for. You want to win championships. But when it comes to championships, that's not an individual reward. MVPs are individual rewards. Record-breaking seasons are individual rewards. Championships are a team effort. With Eli Manning in particular this last season, he made the throw of the game. By far, hands down, to Mario Manningham. Fantastic throw, perfectly put. And he was definitely a catalyst, one of the biggest catalysts as far as them winning that game. But I could also say that the defense stopped Tom Brady from scoring the touchdowns, which put him in a position for that throw to even matter. Because they could have been down by 14, 17 points. Would that throw really count? No, it wouldn't have. So it's a team effort overall. I mentioned, Rick said Dan Marino, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, had a pretty much terrible team every year. But he made all his receivers great because he himself broke record season. So fantastic quarterback, Hall of Famer, hands down. He was a first ballot, so I think Super Bowls are important, but it doesn't determine how good a player are. I think you need to look at numbers, and even then, with Tony Romo having better numbers, Eli Manning is still better because of his intangibles. Intangibles count a lot in my book as well. He comes through, he wins the games when he needs to win them. He makes the plays when he needs to make them. but his team overall gets him in the position for those throws and those plays to even matter.
Hey, Jason, but you said it yourself, man. You said that he made those receivers better. He was making that team. So if he was doing it all season long, you know what I'm saying? Why couldn't he do it?
Well, I was saying that with Dan Marino. I said that with Dan Marino. Not Eli Manning. I said that with Dan Marino. And he made that team way better than what they probably were because they were a terrible team every year that he played with them.
But at the same time, he was still putting up those stats because it was Dan Marino. So why couldn't you continue to do that and assist your team? You know what I'm saying? Aaron Rodgers did it. He had the worst defense in the league last year, but he had a 13-1 record, bro. You know what I'm saying? He had the worst defense in the league. But they were ranked 32nd for total defense, dog.
Yeah, but they also have some of the best receivers in the league and a really great offensive line.
And they didn't win that season. They won when they had it.
But that's my point. Yeah, he has all that kind of stuff, but he still has to make the play. And he was making those plays. You know what I'm saying? And so was Dan Marino. He didn't have those weapons, but he was making those plays. You know what I'm saying?
But like I said, the team overall, you got to be in a position for that team to put you where those plays even matter. His throws may have been great, his stats were great, but if his defense were allowing 30, 40 points a game, it doesn't really matter.
Right, I give you
that. And I think
each team that wins the championship, they have a good defense.
Yes.
As far as everything goes, I feel like, a player can be great without having championship rings, and they'll make them that much better with that ring.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true.
But it just depends on how you analyze that. But if you're talking about just the player or the player and the team together.
True. I like what you said, Curtis, too. Like, quarterbacks are graded a little bit different than the rest of the positions on the team. I definitely don't argue with that, but I still think I stand by the championships are a team victory, not an individual win. So
I agree with that.
But recently, ESPN came out with the top 30 quarterbacks. Ron Jaworski. Just kind of touch on the top 10 real quick. I want to kind of discuss that. See if anybody feels that a player is missing. Should they be in a different position? Aaron Rodgers was named number 1. Drew Brees 2. Tom Brady 3. Peyton Manning 4. Eli Manning 5. Roethlisberger 6. Rivers at 7. Jay Cutler 8. Joe Flacco 9. And Tony Romo 10. Curtis, I saw you responding when I was going through the list. I'm going to let you start it off. Where do you think that's wrong at?
Yeah, I mean, he got wrong once he started going to Rivers. Once he said Rivers and who was before Rivers?
Roethlisberger.
Roethlisberger, man. I think Roethlisberger is like overrated, man. What's he done since our last championship?
How many
Besides
championships did he have?
Very short time.
Does rings determine everything, though?
No, we just have that debate. They don't.
Because he got those rings with a loaded team.
Yes.
Now his team is gone. Where's he? He's not leading them anywhere. Tim Tebow led his team farther than Roethlisberger led his team. What's up with that?
We talked about that earlier.
He was injured.
He was injured. The ankle wasn't near 100%, and they're missing defensive players.
4 starting defensive players.
Yes. And including one of their key linebackers and their key quarterback.
Denver barely won off a miracle touchdown at the very end.
They got there though. I'm sure, but I mean,
it happened.
He's supposed to be a superstar. At one point, they were talking about he was the best in the league besides Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Where's he at right now?
I don't know about that.
I don't even see him anymore. You don't even hear about Big Ben no more.
I honestly put him up above Eli Manning before.
What's your reason?
He's a lot stronger. He can do. I mean, he's done pretty much everything Eli Manning done, but he's got one more championship. I mean, he's broken records. He's set a lot of records. He can make those big long plays. They showed it plenty of highlights.
He definitely knows how to make plays happen. I don't argue with Ben Roethlisberger being there at all personally.
Really?
I really don't, just because he's what I was describing about Eli Manning.
Yeah.
Comes through when he needs to come through. He makes the plays happen at the end of the game a lot of times. Granted, he is loaded with the teams that he's had. His defense is always on point. Always arguably one of the best defenses, if not top 2, top 3 every year that he's played. But he comes through. He's about to get sacked, and he's able to get out of that
he's
sack.
He's one of the only quarterbacks that can do that.
Only person that he's that big.
That was the old Ben, though. I haven't seen the new Ben do that in a while.
It has been a while, but he wasn't 100% last season.
Right. All right, I'll give him that.
But if you don't agree with him being there, who should be?
He's a little older than Eli Manning also.
Is Vic in there?
Vic is below, actually. Vic was listed at number 12.
Yeah. See, Vic should take that spot.
Okay.
He should be higher than that.
I think he should be higher. I feel he's a top 10.
Okay.
Higher than.
I'd
I'd take him over Jay Cutler.
I would too.
Honestly, Phil Rivers.
Right.
Phillip Rivers is pretty good, but he hasn't proved anything in the past couple of years. So I would take.
He's always supposed to be part of the best team and never wins at the end of the game. So, but what do you think about that, Rick? What, any kind of opinion on the top 10?
I mean, I don't like the way he has Flacco, Roethlisberger, and who's before that?
Jay Cutler was 8, Flacco 9, Tony Romo 10, Phillip Rivers 7.
I like Phillip Rivers up there. I think he's a very underrated quarterback. He does a lot with that team that he has, but just for some reason he can't do it in the playoffs. Like he just can't.
Yeah.
Well, and their defense, you know what I'm saying? Like he has a great regular season, or he just completely stinks it up. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I mean, I give Romo credit because I actually did some numbers this afternoon and I was looking at everything, and Romo has some nice numbers.
Yes,
I'm not gonna lie, but I mean I was telling Curtis, for his career as a whole, he averages, because he has a 96.9 QBR. He has 20,834 yards over his career passing yards, and he has 149 touchdowns. That's not bad considering he's been in the league 7 years, right? So when you look at it, you average his yards, he was only making about 2,900 yards per season.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And you compare it to all the other ones that are ahead of him, that is actually a lot less than all these other quarterbacks considering how many years they've been in the league. I was actually kind of shocked with Aaron Rodgers. He's been in for 7 years too, and he has about 17,000 yards total. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Passing yards and stuff. So I mean, it was kind of shocking to me because a lot of people like Eli Manning, he's been in the league 7 years as well, and actually they both didn't start right away. Eli came in, but they didn't start right away.
Right.
So and neither did Aaron Rodgers. But Eli's averaging about 3,900 yards per season. Because he has 27,000 yards, basically, for his whole entire career. So, I mean, that's pretty shocking considering that's a big difference between him and Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers is usually ranked higher on a lot of people's lists. But if you look at their body of work over their career and Super Bowl victories and everything else, I mean, the top 4 can probably be interchanged with anybody, man. I mean, honestly, it's what's your preference, who you bias for, that kind of thing. But, I mean, my top 10 or my top 5 at least I have Brady because he's proven and it's a whole body worth of career. I have Rodgers, Breeze, Eli and Peyton interchangeable just because I'm thinking more along the lines of yes, the body of work, but last year Peyton was out, he's had 5 surgeries. You really got to take into consideration what kind of shape he's in. Even though I think he's going to come out and beat Peyton, I don't think I think he lost a step or 2, and he was already slow. You feel me?
Right.
So I mean, interchangeable. Romo gets an honorable mention. I like his numbers a lot. Flacco needs to get the hell out of there. Roethlisberger's nice. His body of work over his career. I think he wrote his defense his first couple of years, but after that, he's done all right except for last year. And other than that, that's me, man.
All right. The top 10 is all right for me. I kind of agree with you. I think Joe Flacco, he's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a top 10. I would put probably Michael Vick up in there. Before I put him, even Matt Schaub, who, if he wasn't shortened by injury last season, the team could have really made some noise, and he's pretty good. But outside of that, I think it's pretty good.
Stafford would have been a lot better, I think, if he wasn't injured.
True. Stafford, he still has some, he's only been in the league 3 years. I think 3 years. He still needs some work to do. But as far as the argument with Aaron Rodgers, he actually was behind. He was benched for 3 years. Eli Manning started way earlier than what Aaron Rodgers did.
Right.
So that's why the numbers are probably so different with that as far as what you're saying, Rick. But as far as my top 5, I'll go ahead and start, with Aaron Rodgers, number 1. The dude is incredible. I'll just leave it at that for right now. Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Eli Manning. So I actually agree 100% with Ron Jaworski's top 5. And the reason why Aaron Rodgers is my number 1, a couple of different stats. 68% completion percentage last season. He's won 2 out of every 3 starts since he became a starting quarterback. He's won 2 out of every 3 starts. Pretty good ratio there. He's 136 quarterback rating on the blitz. So he hits the players, he reads that blitz, and he knows where to throw the ball every time. He throws it with pinpoint accuracy. Not to mention when he's on the run, the velocity and accuracy that he can throw with when he's on the run, which is something no quarterback. That's a hard thing to do. Aaron Rodgers is the best at that, and that's something that, if me personally, if I was starting with a quarterback, I would want somebody that's mobile, just like Aaron Rodgers, which is why Tom Brady jumped down to number 3. When he's in the pocket, oh my God, the dude is crazy good. But if you get him out of the pocket, the defense is coming in on him. You're gonna have some issues. He won't be looking down the field anymore. Once he gets out of the pocket, he's looking to throw the ball away before he looks for an open receiver. Aaron Rodgers the other way around. Same with Drew Brees. He's kind of on the same page with Aaron Rodgers. Not as good on the run, but can still move a little bit better than what Tom Brady can. Peyton Manning, Eli Manning, like Rick said, Peyton Manning is still kind of a question mark, but based off his body of work, the numbers that he's put up every year, the dude is incredible. And Eli Manning, recent success, he's clutch. He's a very good quarterback, and he still has some years left in him to where he can even get better. So he can even move up in the next couple of years. He could be a number 1, number 2 quarterback potentially. We'll see what he can bring.
My top 5 is a little similar, not exactly the same. I got Aaron Rodgers up top, solely just because the guy's great. Number 2, I'm gonna have to take Drew Brees. 3, Tom Brady. 4, I got Peyton Manning, and number 5, I'm gonna have to go with Ben Roethlisberger.
I like that.
I don't know how y'all got Ben in there. But, because I thought the question was top 5 quarterbacks of 2012.
Just top 5 quarterbacks in general.
In general?
In general.
Because I did mine top 5 quarterbacks basically coming into this year, who I thought was going to be the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL this year.
Okay.
And I based, my first one was Tom Brady. That's how I broke it off. I thought he was going to have pretty much a consistent season like he always has. You know what I mean?
Every year he does.
I see him having the same numbers. Like last year, he had 401 attempts to, completions to 611 attempts.
Right.
So he was right on point. He had 39 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. He was right on point. Second guy I got Aaron Rodgers. I think they're going to have a pretty good, stellar season.
Right.
So I see his numbers being right about the same. The only difference in my list with y'all's guys is the last 3.
Okay.
You know what I mean? The first 2, you can
flip them
you know what
up.
I mean? But I got Eli Manning as 3.
Okay.
I see the Giants. I see the Giants having a good season. I see them coming in, having a pretty good season, battling with the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are going to prevail in the end of this season. I think it's going to be actually Romo's season to have finally one of those little clutch seasons.
Right.
I don't think he's going to be a clutch player. He's just going to have a clutch
finally
moment.
have that game.
A clutch moment. But I got Eli because he has 2 rings. They've been recent. Recent rings. You know what I mean? He had 4,900 yards last year down there, 5,000 yards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He had to pick and choose with receivers. He had Hakeem Nicks. He had Cruz. You know what I mean? He had good receivers, but nobody knew about Cruz. You know what I mean? Nobody knew about Cruz coming in, and then all of a sudden Cruz was, Cruz was the man.
Yeah, he was.
So you got to give some props to Eli on that.
Making his receivers better.
Makes his receivers better.
I like that.
He did good. 29 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. You know what I mean?
He also lost one of those receivers for coming in.
He had more yards than Aaron Rodgers overall. I'm just saying.
He did. The
He had
fourth
more
guy
yards. He had more yards than Tony Romo. I'm just saying. So.
Yeah, he did. The fourth guy, I got Vic. I think he's gonna do pretty good this season. I think he's not gonna meet everybody's expectations, but I think he'll have a good enough season to be 4th on my list.
Okay.
And 5th, I got Roma. I think he's going to have one of his best seasons. Not his best season, but I think he's actually going to win the NFC with the season that he has this year. And it'll be pretty much his best season because he'll have a clutch performance. I see it coming out this year. There's been a different Super Bowl champion the past 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
So I see Cowboys making that push pretty soon. Jerry Jones spent so much on the stadium. It's just their time is coming up.
I mean, only one playoff win since Tony Romo's been a Cowboy. And you're talking about Eli Manning, and not just the Super Bowl wins, but his playoff wins. Aaron Rodgers' playoff wins. Tom Brady's playoff wins. Even Michael Vick has more playoff wins than Romo. Romo, I don't think is a top 5 guy. I actually like him at number 10 as far as Ron Jaworski's. I like him as a top 10. Definitely not a top 5, but I think he will have a good season this year. I'm not arguing with that because the way you formatted your listing, I don't argue with what you're saying still at the same time. But Olympic roster was recently named. 2012 Olympics is about to start at the end of this month. Roster includes Carmelo Anthony, Kobe Bryant, Tyson Chandler, Durant, Blake Griffin, James Harden, Iguodala, LeBron James, Kevin Love, Chris Paul, Westbrook, and Darren Williams. Great team. A lot of different things they can do. They're missing some big men. Dwight Howard wasn't able to play because of his back. Derrick Rose is missing because of his knee. Dwayne Wade, same thing. He's having knee surgery or had knee surgery, so he's not going to be able to play in the Olympics. But a lot of and Chris Bosh as well. Yes. But they have a lot of forwards, which can intertwine with playing a 4 and a 5 at a real quick pace. I think they're definitely guaranteed gold this year. I think they're looking really good.
I think they'll get gold. It's guaranteed.
Yeah, that's a great team.
It is.
But on that, something about what Kobe Bryant said, that he feels that this team could be the dream team. I don't know what you guys take on it. What you think about that, Ricky?
I mean, I don't really know how to answer that question. I do know what my heart says because I know, it's like I was telling Jason, all these players that you're looking at on this year's Olympic team are about to shatter all of those dudes from the Barcelona team's records.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So they're all on the rise. Definitely on the rise. Each one of them is a prolific scorer, and I stress prolific scorer.
Yes.
Every single one of them, with probably the exception of Chandler. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, he's hands down the best defender in the league, in my opinion. That's why the Knicks picked him up. That's why Dallas won their championship.
Right.
So, I mean, they have a defender down low. You know, he might be the only one, but, hey, I think that Blake Griffin can hold it over the post. I know that I've seen Kevin Durant hold it over the post. I've seen LeBron hold it over the post. You know, so, I mean, it's not like we can't fill the slot, you know?
Yeah, but you never seen him hold the post.
USA is definitely the favorite. But watch out for Spain. The
Yeah.
Gasol brothers, Ibaka. I mean, Ricky Rubio's hurt. But they got some other heads out there. Be on the lookout.
Okay.
I gotta say, I don't think this team is even close to the 92. You know what I mean? I don't think they're even close. One thing about the records getting broke, a lot of these guys came out of high school.
Right.
Most of the guys back then played 4 years college. So their records started, you know, a lot, you know what I mean?
Shorter.
A lot shorter, you know.
Yeah, they were a lot older when they started.
Yeah, a lot older when they started
they were
their
about 20 in their mid-20s.
Yeah, their mid-20s, stuff
Their
like
games are
that.
definitely polished.
Right, you know what I mean? And thing with like a prolific scorer, I don't think Harden's a prolific scorer. I don't think Chandler's the best defensive player. I would probably put Kobe and LeBron up there with the best defensive players on the team. I think it's just going to be a lot of friction, people battling for shots. I think it's going to be a harder fought battle than people think. They're going to win. It's just not going to be as dominating as people think. The games will be 10-point games. You know what I mean? 10, 15-point games. They might get a 20-point blowout, but it's not going to be the 40 points.
30 point average.
50 points.
50 point average.
Just like you said, Ricky, there's a lot of good teams out there. Other countries.
Yeah, and you can thank the '92 Barcelona team for those countries being better now. That's the main reason. But I don't think the new team can beat them. But I can see an argument as to how they could. The mismatches. There's a lot of mismatches going on, especially with the forward position, shooting guard position. Jordan and Kobe, you know, they call it pretty much almost even. Jordan obviously gets a nod still, but Kobe Bryant's the next best thing to Jordan since Jordan. Anybody that argues with that, I think is crazy.
I don't know.
I think he's the next best thing.
Magic Johnson.
Different skill set. They have the same skills. Kobe Bryant and Jordan are very similar as far as the skill set. So cancel them out, you know, somewhat. You know, still get the nod to Jordan at the end of the day. Point guard position, John Stockton compared to Chris Paul, all day Chris Paul. Kevin Durant is going to be a mismatch for anybody on the team other than Scottie Pippen, but he's going to be stuck guarding LeBron James. So that would leave Clyde Drexler the guard, possibly Kevin Durant. He's still going to outshine him. The only big thing that you're going to have a problem with is the front line for the '92 Barcelona team. They had David Robinson and Patrick Ewing just by itself, not to mention Karl Malone and Charles Barkley. Good luck, LeBron James, getting to the hole against them type of dudes, because you don't have big men like that in the game anymore.
And especially when Scottie Pippen and Jordan hassling you the whole way down.
And they definitely will do that. But the pace of the game is different than what the '92 Barcelona team played at. They were fast compared to those countries, but this team is faster than what they were. So the tempo is going to be different, but I still get the nod for the '92 Barcelona team. I don't think it's like you said. I don't think it's not even close. I think it's very close, to be honest.
I don't think it's close. I think the tempo will be a little different, but I think the experience from the '92 team would just slow the tempo down like you do in any basketball game.
Right.
You use your experience. You use your. They were a hell of a lot tougher back then.
Yeah,
it's a total different game. The reason they shine now and break all these records because it's an offensive-oriented game. Back then it was a defensive-oriented game.
Play defense.
Yeah, you can't play defense. You touch it now, yeah. The only person who had that back then was Mike.
Right.
You know,
Not even then.
You know what I mean?
There's a lot of highlights where they show him getting 5 touch, whatever.
Right.
And they don't call nothing. He just does something else to make it play.
Nah, Reggie didn't. Reggie did not play on the '92
I
Barcelona.
said Isaiah Thomas.
Isaiah Thomas was also not a part of that. big controversy with Jordan not wanting him on the team is what the rumor is and what the story is. That would have definitely given the knock because Isaiah Thomas is better than